Hello, welcome back to my channel, Retire Abroad Finance. My name is Martha, and today I am doing a viewer request. I had one of the comments on a recent video give me a very specific scenario, and so I did want to try to set this up. So I used my paid version of Boldin. I scraped all of my information and started again. I thought it would be a perfect chance to show you how to set up just a very simple scenario based on the information I was given. So let's go ahead and jump in. So first of all, I have been given dates when they're going to retire, or ages when they're going to retire, about how many years until then. So I extrapolated the ages, and then the amounts of the Social Security they would be collecting on those dates, which enabled me to figure out the final retirement age amount. So let's begin. To set your ages, you go in under account settings, and then I've figured out that the requester is somewhere in the neighborhood of 57 years old. I obviously don't know what month. And the spouse is 53 years old. Again, don't know what month. Okay. All right. So then I went in under accounts and assets. I was told that there were $750,000 in a traditional IRA. Taking a look at the two amounts of the Social Security, I broke those up between two different IRA accounts because this does make a difference for your RMDs when they're hitting. So this may or may not be right, but I distributed it accordingly. The requester has an IRA for 400,000. The spouse has one for 350. And then I have created a household checking that can handle any overflow. I am using a rate of return of 8%, which is moderate. I am using the default settings. Okay. I don't have any, um, I, okay. I don't have any other assets, is what I want to say. I don't have a brokerage account amount. I don't have any savings, anything in a checking. So obviously anything else you have is going to help the scenario. I was told that there is a home and it was free and clear. It was owned free and clear. I did start out with, I had to pick a state. And actually, let's start out in a non-tax state, Florida. And we'll see what it looks like when you have taxes. But we start out in a non-tax state, Florida, own the house free and clear. So we've got $450,000 in equity in that. I'm assuming that they want to stay in the house. So I'm not modeling any sort of a sale or, pulling any equity out of that, although that is an option. So excuse me too. I have a really horrible cold. I have a cough drop. I'm trying to control it, but I'm sorry if my voice is difficult. Okay, income. I was not given any earned income figures for their employment at all. So I made the assumption that they want to see if they can retire right away, which would be in September, and not they wouldn't be able to collect Social Security until 62. And at that time, for the requester, that would be on or around November 2029, and it was to be $1,700 a month. And for the spouse, it'd be on or around 2033 for $1,550 a month. That was my best guess on those dates um, with the info I had. Okay. So expenses, I was only given a full amount, but that included medical costs before Medicare. So 4250 a month was what I was told. That includes the medical, like I said. So I just entered it as a basic budget or as a full, expense there. That will be indexed with the average inflation rate in Boldin. I didn't enter any medical expenses before 65 because I was told they were included in the 4250. However, at 65, You do want to estimate your original Medicare Parts A and B, what it will cost. I have both being non-smokers with no medical conditions. Okay. And I don't have anything for a long-term care policy. You are going to want to think about your situation with that. Just a hint. Okay. I don't have uh, anything in money flows. You may want to think about um, you may want to think about with your expenses, you may want to think about one-time expenses like a new car, a roof on the home repairs, anything like that. You may want to include that, but money flows, I just have the excess income saving 90% to cash. Withdrawal strategy, I just have based on spending needs. Withdrawal order, I'm going to actually switch that to traditional. Okay. So it's going to use up anything in the cash account or household checking. And then it's going to go to the uh, oldest individual's IRA and then to the youngest. Okay. Okay. And as I said, I'm just using the default here. Okay. The COLA for Social Security 3.7. That seems high to me, but that's their default. So I'm going to leave it as is. Okay. So let's see how we did. Okay. We have a 73% chance of fully funding your plan through your longevity years. Okay. I mean, it's okay, right? It's not what I would prefer to see, but somebody else might be very happy with that number. I don't know, but we're going to go ahead and click into that. This is the Monte Carlo. So you can see with poor outcome, it looks like you run out 2051. You're 84, spouse is 80. Why is that bad? Well, because we're about to go down to one Social Security check when someone passes based on our estimates here. And so you've now left the person with one Social Security check and zero savings. That's with the poor outcome. Okay. Obviously, if you have a good outcome, you're still going to have money left. So, just to think of that. Okay. And then they give you a little bit of information. Um, you're forecasted to have 656,000 by the time they're 88. Um, here's the thing. This is a 73% chance without any large one-time expenses, like a new car. This is a really long uh, retirement period because you're retiring basically at, I think it was 57 and 53. So you're easily looking at 30 years worth of retirement that you have to fund. And I don't know, this is a little too close for me, but let's see what we can do now to tweak it. So we're going to take a look at some of the explorers. We're going to create some different scenarios. Um, the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at my taxes. Okay. And to do that, we go over to expenses and healthcare. We've got our two tabs here. There's key info, which is your lifetime income projection, your sources, where it's coming from. Okay. Your savings balances, projected expenses. Okay. Then you got some insights. If you are using the paid version, you can click over and take a look at the insights. It's really valuable. Okay, but we are going to go ahead in here to oh, and just a note here, the difference here mainly is taxes. Okay. Your average income after September 2025 and your average expenses after. So you have taxes. Because remember, our expenses are $42.50 a month, but you have to pay taxes when you take money out of an IRA. And there's also going to be fees involved if you don't meet the various criteria. There's a 55 plus rule to escape that. There's of course, you're 59 and a half. So let's go to taxes. All right. So here's your estimated lifetime income tax. And being that your house is in Florida, you're a Florida resident, you have zero state income tax. We're going to test that in a minute and see what happens with that if we change. But here we show your estimated taxes. You're going to start out 2026. Your tax is only 2,600 after you've, taken your standard deduction. I think that's reasonable myself, considering you're living off of pre-tax monies. And then, of course, you go to zero because you're not taking as much out while you're getting paid your Social Security. And now your expenses are climbing at a rate that you're going to have to take a little bit more out. And then here, I believe, is where one spouse passes. Um, and then you see that now we're having to get RMDs and we're taking more and more out with the RMDs. So with the RMDs and the single Social Security check. So here we have your tax brackets. So it's good in the beginning. You're pretty much staying in the 10%, but you do move. Now, again, you have insights here. You can click through. So let's go ahead and change to a state that has an income tax. Let's see, New York. Do I want to go to New York? I did New York and California, just kind of looking at it, and it's just so high. Um, West Virginia, okay. That's going to have a lower, depending on where you are, you may have a lower cost of living there too. I did California and the taxes weren't that high. It looked like, however, there's no way you're living on 4250 in California. I'm sorry. I mean, unless you live way up in the high desert out of the way. Okay, so here's the income tax, the state income tax. You can see that it basically doubles your taxes. Okay. Or it doesn't double it, but it's close. It's up there. Okay. And then you can see your state income tax here. Okay. So it really does make a difference where you live with the tax information. And you can see that um, it's giving you $80,000 less in your estate. When you pass, you're paying $30,000 more in your lifetime taxes. So it's doable, but you definitely want to account for those state taxes. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run it through the Social Security Explorer. But first, we're going to go in, we're going to make a copy of this so that we can apply it. Okay, so to make a copy, we only have the baseline plan right now. So we're going to add a new scenario. We're going to name it Social Security Optimized. We're going to import all our data from the baseline and create a new scenario. Okay, so now you go ahead up here and you choose your new scenario. Okay, and for some reason it dropped us to 69. I don't know why. Let me just take a quick look here. Oh, I'm sorry. That was foolish. 69% was because we switched the state to West Virginia, so now you're paying taxes too. So I would not be pleased with that. So let's see what we can do with our Social Security Explorer now. We're going to go into Social Security Explorer. It's going to give you a little introduction. Okay, we're going to get started. Okay, so these are the two amounts of the benefits at full retirement age that I calculated, given what they would be collecting at 62. So we're going to go ahead and look at our assumptions. Okay, this is carrying over from me and I can't seem to get rid of this. So, all right, so the desired claiming age is 62 and 62. Okay, expect to live 85, 88. All right, so let's look at the claiming strategy. Okay, so our current plan shows 62 and 62, which is our desired claiming age. Our lifetime benefit, they're saying to get the maximum Social Security payout, you should wait until age 70 and the spouse claiming at 69 and 2 years. Now, this is only one factor of what would be best for you. It may be better for you to collect more Social Security. However, it may really chew through your IRA savings to wait that additional 8 years. So we really need to take a look at it overall and compare. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue through here, and then we'll add it to the scenario and take a look at both of them. But let's look at our monthly income. So these, of course, are the same. So let's just look at the desired claiming age. You can see your initial benefit claim is 1966 versus, waiting until you're 70, and 4658 will be the initial benefit claim for the one person. The total benefit after both spouses are claiming, you've got 4347, which will cover expenses. Remember, your Social Security will be indexed. So this is in today's dollars. It will be indexed, and your expenses will be indexed. So we're just using today's dollars for now. Your maximum lifetime benefit after both spouses claim on this part is over $10,000. That is a huge difference, and why they're saying that that will definitely maximize your output. However, remember, you're living to 85 and 88. So obviously, if the older person dies before 70, this would not be the case. And then if there's a break even, and it's usually somewhere in the neighborhood of between 79 and 81 or 82. So, you're going to meet your break even, but not much beyond. So a lot of this depends on longevity. Nobody knows their longevity, and I made some assumptions here. So, if you're the person that requested this, um, you're going to want to definitely take a look at your family history, your present health condition, and realize that this might not be a good plan for you if you don't have longevity or if you have a chronic health condition um, that will affect your longevity age. But it just gives you an average monthly benefit amount over time. So, these are very interesting, but you can see that it flips quite quickly here at age 74. Um, it really begins to outpace. Okay. So now let's look at that lifetime benefit amount maximum so we can see what we're really talking about. So if you started claiming, both of you, at 62 and you lived to your full longevity ages, you would have collected 948,500 from Social Security. However, if you waited to the suggestion, which was 70 years of age for the requester and for the spouse 69 years and 2 months, you're looking at 1.1 million. So, you know, do you want to take a chance and wait that long? I don't know. But like I said, this is only one factor. You could eat so much into your savings that you're not willing to do that. So we'll see. We'll see. So let's look at the summary. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. Here they give you the summaries of what, we've already seen. And then it gives us the option to apply a strategy to your plan. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the maximum lifetime benefit to my cloned plan titled Social Security Optimized. Your chance of success does not change. However, I'm going to do a little comparison here just to show you that you can do this. Okay, so I've got it set to average today's dollars. Okay, so your baseline plan here, uh, your net worth at the end of the plan is 1.15 with Social Security optimized 962. Okay, so there is your big difference that I talked about, that it may not be worth it for your legacy to wait. Because you do have to spend down so much. However, you do end up with overall a max income in retirement after you've started collecting. Before then, you're really using your funds. You are really using up your funds. So, but you make more than you need with your income once you do start collecting. So you're able to put that money back into in an investment of some sort. So, this sort of thing, it really depends on a lot because you are making estimates. You are, you know, guessing when you're going to pass away. You're guessing, um, on a lot of things, on how the market's going to go. Let's take a quick look. Let's flip this over to pessimistic because I think this is really going to show a difference. Okay. Yeah, you're performing better with Social Security optimized with a pessimistic market. They both show under 15%, which is not great. Okay. All right, here you go. So your baseline plan, where you're both collecting at 62, your money does last a little bit longer, and that is expected. You're still failing, really. I would call 15% a fail. Um, but you are, getting another 5 years out of your money because you don't have to use it more in the beginning. So, there's something to look at. There's something to consider. Okay. Very interesting. All right, so let's go back out again. Let's go out to the baseline plan again. And I want to concentrate on pessimistic, under 15,000. Okay. And what if we actually didn't retire in September of 2025? What if we kept a little income going? Okay. Even working part-time, and say you're making, I don't know, let's say $1,200 a month until you start collecting at 62. Okay. And we're not contributing to anything. And then the spouse is also, they're only going to pick up $1,000 a month. Oops. 1,000. And until they start collecting, that's 62. Okay. We're not going to have any income linked contributions. So this is really just to stem the bleeding in those first years. Okay. Let's take a look and see what that does for us. Okay, in a pessimistic market, we're still under 15%. But Remember, in the first one, we were out of money at 76, and now we're now out of money until age 80. And at that point, honestly, you could do a reverse mortgage if you wanted to, or you could pick up something part-time. But let's bring it back to average. And now we have an 82% chance of success. 82% versus 69%. Okay? Let's play around with that even more. If you definitely want to collect at 62, and we're going to try not to have any income um, go past when you start collecting so your Social Security isn't taxable. So let's just try to bring in just a little bit more income. Let's say that the requester brings in 2,000, okay? And the spouse brings in 1,400. Let's see how we do. Okay. You see it does increase the lifetime taxes, but you do have more in your estate. Okay, well, now we're up to 87. We're moving in the right direction. I think you see the way this is going. And then, of course, if you were living in a state that didn't have um, income tax, like New Hampshire, or I did Florida earlier, now you've got 88. So you're looking really good. I mean, the issue is there's a few issues with this. First of all, pessimistic takes you right off the map. You're going to run out of money in this particular scenario as it's built, round about 82. That's pessimistic, not necessarily realistic, but that's pessimistic. Um, Another thing you want to think about is let's take an average scenario and let's put a couple of one-time expenses in there that would be very realistic. So let's add an expense, new used car, okay? And let's say 25,000 for that. And it's going to have to come from somewhere. And let's say that you think your car will make it about another 10 years. So that's going to come out, let's put it at January 30, 35. Okay. And you think that that one will get you through to the end of your lives. Okay. Might not. Okay. All right. So that's taking money out. Let's add, if you're a homeowner, you know what I'm talking about. New roof. I'm estimating 35,000. Let's take that out of your spouse's IRA. And that, let's put that out about 15 years. Okay. Because you got a 30-year retirement. You're going to have roof repairs or whatnot. You're going to have other major appliances. You're going to have stuff like that. I'm just kind of put it under roof. Okay. All right. So now you're at 40,000 less. Okay. Let's take a look and see. Just adding a couple of one-time expenses that are frankly reasonable expenses. Let's see what it does to your overview. Okay, it's dropped you down from 86 to 80, or 88 to 86 rather. So let's see if we did any Roth conversions at all, if that would be helpful. Okay, so we're going to go into the Roth Conversion Explorer and it's going to create two new accounts versus what that was saying. We want to go by the highest estate value. Okay. Um, well, we're going to have to pay for tax liability with converted funds because we don't have funds here. Okay. We don't have a brokerage, a post-tax brokerage account here. Um, let's use the system. Well, let's use the system default, just see what it says. Okay, 8 conversions. You should have 43,000 more. 15,766. Okay, here's our optimized plan. Wow, we are converting a lot. Okay, all right. And the current plan, we don't have any conversions. Okay, so let's look at our projected account balances. So, all right, so you can see you've got your 750. You're going to go ahead and convert 110, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so really it does still leave money in your pre-tax, in your IRAs. You don't fully convert it all, okay? But it does help with some of the taxes. So let me just take a look again at what we were doing here. So you're actually converting 110, 64. Okay. Yeah, so you're not really converting maybe a third of it. Let's see, 170. Yeah, you're converting about a little less than 200, and taxes are going to come out of that. So that's what this does for you right here. This graphic here. You can see the federal income tax rate. The green is the optimized plan, and the blue is the current plan. So where do you really win here? Uh, you you really start to see the win when you hit 78, 79. So what it is with you doing um, those Roth conversions, you pretty much stick to the 10% rate until your final years of life, as opposed to going up into 13, 14%. Um, this is a really good case for Boldin and the Roth converter because, I think people tend to think of Roth conversions as, either an all or nothing endeavor, like I'm not doing any or I'm doing all of it to try to maximize. And here it's telling you, no, 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 just do a third. That's going to be your optimal scenario is just to convert a third of them. That's going to get you your greatest estate value. Let's take a look and see. We just want to max out a tax bracket at 10%. Okay. So it looks about the same. Let's see what the difference is. Oh, okay. So this has you converting smaller amounts all throughout, which is probably going to cost you some tax for your Social Security. And you can see there's a $2,200 increase in projected taxes over your lifetime. Yeah. So we're going to do the highest estate value instead. Well, let's take a look at that third one. Lowest lifetime tax liability. Okay. And that has you converting less than before, I think. Or that might match the other one. Yeah, that about matches. Okay, so it looks like the optimized taxes and the estate value are the same. Okay. But you also have the option to optimize for your IRMA, which is, how much you are ultimately responsible for with your Medicare, Part B, Part D, all that stuff. Um, you can optimize your conversions without setting an annual limit. The whole 9 yards. There's a lot of options here. So let's go ahead and apply this to your scenario, to your baseline scenario. Okay. And we're going to go out and take a look. Okay, so 86%. All right. Okay. And does it make any difference with the pessimistic? Let's see. Well, not really. I mean, you have money until 82, and then you have to, I guess it made a little bit of a difference. It did extend it a couple years, a few years. But you would have to either tap into your home or figure out a way to earn more. Again, you can keep playing. Maybe maybe you work a full-time income for 3 more years instead of trying to retire next year. Let's say your pre-tax income is, I don't know, $6,000 a month. Well, you know what? That's kind of given what their expenses are. Let's just put it at $4,000 a month um, until 62 when you start collecting. And we're going to keep the spouse at part-time. We're going to keep the spouse at part-time. Okay? Let's see what that does. Okay, you're still at under 15%, but it does now bring you out to 84. You can see how this works. If you can work just a little bit longer or make a little bit more, then it does extend you out. So let's take that. Spouse working, just, oh, wrong one. Spouse working full-time. Let's see, 2,600. We'll have them bringing in 2,600. Okay. Okay, and that gained you a little bit more time. Not as much, but a little. Okay. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I wanted to show how Boldin works. It has so many features. I really, really like it. Um, you do get to see your financial wellness metrics when you have the paid version. I found these really helpful. You can take a look at where you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable at, your savings amount, your financial legacy. Am I still on? Let me see if I'm still on pessimistic. I am. Let's bring that to average. Okay, now look at our vulnerable. Okay, so the Roth conversions, it's telling you, those are helpful. It's telling you that you could save more money. So they're saying, hey, if you're still working, you should be contributing. You should be contributing more into your accounts. And remember, when I added uh, more earned income, I didn't have any contributions going in. So, that obviously helps you with your taxes, gives you more money later on. But anyhow, um, there's just so many pluses to this software. I'm very, very pleased. Um, but I hope this was helpful. If anyone else has requests that they want to see, go ahead and comment them in the video below, and I will make more videos with your scenario. And if you do plan on working longer or you have net income, the requester did not give me any of that information, but go ahead and drop that in there too, and I'll go ahead and model that. So as always, if you appreciate the content, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below with input. I appreciate it very much. And other than that, I hope you have a fantastic weekend and God bless.